I wish there was a Fire Emblem game with 40 units and all of them have niches that don't step on each other's feet. Be the change you wish to see in the world. If you think such a thing is possible, then make it yourself. That would be my advice. I mean, Conquest comes close. It's just not 40 units, because that's an absurd number to have all of them feel unique. But Conquest does have, like, all the units feel like they filled niches. Even if some of those niches aren't the most desirable thing out there, you know, like Benny being guy who has no strength but has good physical defense but not as good as Xander, right? Or like Nyx, the low accuracy, high might, high speed mage, right? Like, everyone's got their thing. I hate stat stacking. I mean, I would say even within the stat staffing, like Conquest casts just... everyone does different stuff. Arthur is the unequipped gamble archetype. I mean, Arthur is your early fighter, and he has a good skill growth. He can become a genuinely reliable unit. Like, his accuracy problems are not... his accuracy problems are exaggerated. Say that. God, what a fucking empty map. His skill growth is good. Yes. Yes. FE3 sure does have some of the maps of all time. It's always time to spread Wyvern Elise propaganda. Yeah, the low skill, high magic flyer, like that's a niche. Also, just like a Lily's Poise support unit is a different type of niche. What do you mean by stat stacking? Stat stacking is, in Conquest and Fates in general, you have a lot of tools to increase people's stats. Meals, tonics, rallies, pair up. So stat stacking is the practice of doing that. I personally find it quite fun. No, Benutu! How could you? Wyvern Elise is Gonzalez if he grew wings. Yo, true though! We get all the treasure. Chat, do you think Nyx would be as good as Elise if she had easy access to Wyvern? Like, if instead of Outlaw, Nyx could go Wyvern? Because it's the same problem, right? The low skill moment. I know that ever since Code Against series, there's been like a resurgence in Nyx is actually good takes. I think Nyx is pretty bad, from a Conquest perspective, is my take. But I think also every unit in Conquest, even like fucking Flora, is usable. I don't see how going Wyvern would help her. I mean, it would make her into Elise, right? Like, it's just the Elise thing. Because they have the same problem. Like, if you don't like Nyx's accuracy, why is Elise's accuracy, which is arguably harder to fix, considered acceptable, right? So that's why I'm saying that, like, if she could go Wyvern, wouldn't she just be like, wouldn't it just be the same unit? Nyx is just Mozu, but Magic Shining Bow Cope. The thing is that, so having run, like, the numbers about it, right? Nyx's insane Shining Bow damage. Oh, we wanna... I don't have a steel... Fuck. We want to give Harden the Steel Lance, right? Is actually just, like, it's not... It's very replicable with just, like, physical bow users, right? Put, like, Effie, Mozu, Niles... I mean, Niles can also be a magical bow user, depending... But... Usually he's physical, I feel like. Like, being able to use this Shining Bow in and of itself isn't... Isn't, like... It doesn't do anything unless the Shining Bow does something for you that the physical bows can't. But if you're still hitting the one-shot thresholds, or the one-round thresholds, then, like, what is the Shining Bow doing for you that physical bows can't, right? Other than requiring you to either go to Nina's Paralog or pay a decent chunk of gold for a magical weapon. Meanwhile, like, forges can be used by whoever. That's kind of why I'm sour on not just Shining Bow, but all magical weapon builds in Fates. Is, like, they're cool until you realize that, like, they can be replicated by physical units. Just use tomes if you're a magical unit. Tomes are, like, the best weapon type. The Shining Bow probably works in the dark as a lamp. Wait, so true. I can see wanting to do a magical weapon built for the novelty. They are a cool novelty, and especially if you're doing, like, Basara or Outlaw or, like, other classes that generally are not great unless you're using a magical bow. Or magical weapon in general, right? Like, they can be kind of cool to see the animations. Like Basara animations, Outlaw animations, that sort of stuff. Especially as I'm doing the review, the more magical units I review, the more I'm like, you could do a magical... And, like, obviously Rev is a different context than Conquest. Because in terms of, like, Flame Shuriken Felicia, you get a Flame Shuriken for free. Who the fuck else is gonna use it, right? But in terms of, like, Shining Bow, unless you're routing for Nina, you have to pay for one. That's also why in Rev, the Levin Sword builds, I tend to be more, like, positive on. But even then, it's like, just use tomes. Like, all routes have access to Calamity Gate and fucking, because Ophelia's Paralog in Conquest, right? Which I guess is the same thing as, like, you have to route for Ophelia's Paralog to get these tomes. So it's the same thing as the Shining Bow in that extent. But, like, Calamity Gate and Horse Spirit are just so good that it is hard to justify going into a fucking magical weapon class. Unless you are dipping into a class to get, like, skills. Like, if you're trying to do Life and Death Sorcerer, and you need to go, like, Master of Arms or whatever. Life and Death Sorcerer is overrated! Or, like, I guess, bringing it back to the Nyx conversation, she wants to go through Outlaw for Lucky 7. Although I'm not as big a fan of Lucky 7, as, like, Coding Ant is. I want my skills to work all map long. That's where I'm at. Bolt Axe is neat, because it hits like a truck if you have the accuracy to use it. Yes, and yet people propagandize it as Elise's personal weapon, but, like, accuracy moment. Malignite can use Bolt Axe, but Malignite can also use Tomes. Like, here's the thing, Malignite can use Horse Spirit! Malignite can use Lightning! Malignite can use Calamity Gate! 7 turns is a lot to get good mileage out of. It depends. It depends on the map. It depends on the map, for sure. In Rev, specifically, Lucky 7 is kind of shit because of how long maps last. But in Conquest, depending on both your playstyle and what map you're on, 7 turns can be like a good chunk of, or the entire map. Bolt Axe with a freeze effect when... Yo, Lord of the Seas reference. Fucking Bolganone. George, you're gonna have to Parthia this man. Every FE magic weapon yearns to become an Engage Levin Sword. Engage Levin Sword is pretty baller. Engage Levin Sword runs into the same issue, just use Bolganone, which is stronger, you can hit thresholds just fine. The thing is, the good thing about Engage Levin Sword, though, is you can get it earlier, right? If you do Forging, you can get a Engage Levin Sword pretty early compared to Bolganone. And it's phenomenal for the mid-game, right? Like, that's its big thing. That and Griffin Knight likes to use it. Like, aside from Ivy and Hortensia, there's no flying tome user. I like doing the early Levin Sword Forge. Me too. When I'm playing Engage, which is not often these days. What if I have bad life choices and want to play Lunatic and fill the entire support log in every pairing possible? For Engage? Or Fates? Because Engage doesn't have pairings unless I'm missing something. I meant every pairing in Fates. Yeah, at one point I wanted to fill the GBA support logs, but I sort of decided against that. So I get where the brain rot comes from. Levin Sword is affected by sword power and there's no tome power. I think the power skills are not overrated, but overstated. I think that very rarely do you get, like, power 5. So many people will be like, actually, the way you fix XYZ unit is just give them Lance power 5, Sword power 5, whatever. And it's like, power 5 is so expensive. I can definitely see the lower level of the powers being relevant to, like, your main combat units, but it's undeniably huge favoritism. Tamara, Lance Power 3 Javelin archetype. The Well kind of does that. The Well doesn't let you get power on every... The Well does not let you get power 5 on every single unit in your army. Like, I'm sorry, it just doesn't. Even with rigging. Which, like, if we're accounting for rigging, why are we you know, why are we doing that? Prince Marth. I am Archsage Gato. I am currently using my magic to communicate with you. It is saddening to see you be mocked by Garneth. Listen to me well. Garneth and Miroa were both my pupils, but Garneth stole Moth from me and disappeared. He indeed has the Falchion as well. With Moth and the Falchion, the Daruni Empire has nothing to fear. This world will be eventually theirs. So long as Garneth has Moth, you won't be able to defeat him. However, there is one method. Find the Star and Light Orbs and bring them to me. With them both, and then the only magic tome that can penetrate Moth, Starlight Explosion, can be. Yo, it's called Starlight Explosion in this translation? This is the good translation. This is the good translation.